Hello, and welcome to another edition of Dan's All Drinks Considered. I'm Dan, and as you can see, this is a drink. So, this week we are venturing back into the world of somewhat more adult beverages, I suppose. This is only, I think, the third or fourth beer we've done on here, which actually was a little surprising. When I started this series, I thought that I'd be venturing into that world a little more often. To be frank, I just don't drink that much these days. Drink alcohol, that is. But every once in a while, I do certainly enjoy a beer, and especially a dark beer. So this week we have an interesting one. This is from the Clown Shoes Brewery, based in Boston, Massachusetts and Windsor, Vermont. This is part of a special series, apparently. The Kung Fu Ballet series, Luchador at Sunrise. And I will admit it was, first and foremost, the name that caught my attention. I'm a pretty big fan of pro wrestling, and I have been since I started watching it with my dad as a kid, so some 30 plus years at this point. So anything related to that wrestling world, that's really a good way to catch my attention. Luchador, of course, being a practitioner of the distinctly Mexican brand of pro wrestling, Lucha Libre. So I saw this on the shelf in the supermarket. It was certainly at a premium price, and I took a look at the can, of course, the Luchador thing catching my eye. I was, of course, kind of expecting disappointment in that I expected it to be yet another IPA. I'm not a big fan of IPAs at all, and that's kind of unfortunate because that seems to be about 95% of what craft breweries make nowadays. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised to see that this is indeed an Imperial Stout. Specifically, an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with cinnamon, vanilla, and ancho and chipotle chilies. So that sounds interesting. I will admit that the chilies are a little intimidating to me in that I used to love hot stuff, hot sauce, things like that. Somewhere along the line, I just completely lost my taste for it. I don't mind spicy, but I can't do hot stuff like I used to could. So we'll see how far I get as far as the chili component goes. I don't know if it's a pronounced heat or if it's just a hint of the chilies. We'll find out, obviously, during the taste test. But definitely looking at the can, we have some cool artwork here with this kind of four-armed creature attacking, well, as we'll see on the back of the can, the apparent mascot of Clown Shoes Brewery, at least for this series, Master Clown Shoes. This is apparently a continuing story. Luchador at Sunrise, the can featuring the third chapter of it. I suppose you have to buy other cans in this Kung Fu Ballet series to get the full story. Kind of an interesting marketing tactic, actually. They did also, by the way, when I bought this can, they did have a few of another variety in the series, I think called Ancient Hills, which was a chocolate stout, which definitely sounds good to me, too. I almost bought that one, but the Luchador kind of won out here. So, anyway, Chapter 3. Master Clown Shoes began to feel despair. What was he doing? What was the point, and what's the purpose of it all? Where, how, could he find a way to fix himself? While lost in these dark thoughts, shockingly, the brewery came under attack. A giant four-armed luchador was tearing the building apart, batting aside or crushing workers in his path. Master Clown Shoes moved to defend his new home. Taking a defensive stance, he peered into the face of the monster, and he saw his nemesis. Scan below to see more. Actually, I don't know what the QR code leads to. I haven't checked it out yet. I will. I'm guessing probably just the front page of the company's website or something like that. Nothing too interesting on the back of the can other than the story, obviously. They do have their little mission statement there. Certainly the artwork is quite cool, as I said earlier. You have this kind of four-armed luchador. I suppose that's Master Clown Shoes. The monster kind of has a Dr. Octopus-like thing going. The kind of daggers the lower arms are holding in silhouette take on almost like the drills of the Big Daddies in BioShock kind of appearance. Yeah, interesting artwork, to say the least. So, as always, we'll go through the visual test, the smell test, and the taste test for this Imperial Stout. And we're going back to the old classic game room mug here. So we'll open this up and see what it's like. Definitely a nice head on it. I've never really mastered the art of pouring beer. I know you're supposed to try to pour it along the sides. That never really worked for me. I'm already getting a lot of aroma, even from this distance, incidentally. But we'll do the visual test first. Again, definitely a good rich head on it. Dark coloration. And you can see some of my pouring skills on display there. Smell test. Definitely smells like a stout. I'm not sure from the smell if I pick out any of the other listed ingredients specifically on their own, but yeah, it's definitely a rich stout smell, and I suppose there is a little bit of a hint of something underlying it. Let me just add a little bit more here before we do the taste test. There we go. Alright, so here we go with the taste test. Yeah, it's a nice dark stout, to say the least. In the aftertaste, I do get maybe a little bit of a hint of some of the other spices that are mentioned there. Not really getting any heat at all, which again for me is a good thing, but if you are hoping for and like hot stuff, I could see that being a bit of a disappointment. For me, it's fine. Again, I just can't do hot stuff anymore. Let me take another sip here. Yeah, it's a pretty darn good stout. This last sip, I get maybe a little bit more of the bourbon barrel aged aspect. If you've ever had, and it's actually a beer I might review on here at some point, even though I have had it before, Founder's Backwoods Bastard, which is also bourbon barrel aged and has a very pronounced bourbon barrel flavor to it. It's not quite as pronounced as that here, but yeah, I definitely do get a hint of the bourbon barrel kind of sneaking through. On the later aftertaste, we've been talking for a bit, as I guess the early aftertaste goes away, a little bit later I do get a little bit more of a spice, not really a heat, but a little bit more of a spice, I would guess, from the chilies. So yeah, it's a flavor that actually kind of changes a little bit after the first sip as you kind of savor the taste of it. It does kind of change or reveal other aspects of it. So yeah, it's good. Premium price tag, definitely, but worth a shot. And I'm interested to try that chocolate stout variety in this line too. If nothing else, you get some cool artwork on the can. That's obviously not necessary, but it's a nice bonus at any rate. So, we're running long here for one of these episodes, so I will cut it short here. Many more weeks, many more drinks. We will see you next time.